I can't say these fighters don't see this. One minute he'll say Ali is one of the best that I had. Then it's Mayweather, then it's Pacquiao, and then it's Lomachenko, then it's this guy. I mean, boy, these promoters, they kill me. I can't see how fighters right now, and it's not like I'm throwing shade. It's just that if I accomplish everything that I've accomplished, and I've done everything that I've done, how can you go to I look at guys like Terence Crawford.
Right.
Terence Crawford can be a lot bigger than he is. How can you make, and this shows that racism still exists. How can you say that Lomachenko is better than Terence Crawford? Not at all. Not in a million years. Not at all.
Floyd Mayweather went on and he said that Terence Crawford made the ultimate mistake re-signing with Bob Arum.
Yeah, I mean, I co-signed that 1,000%. I made a couple videos on that actually, where I stated that Terence Crawford made the ultimate mistake by re-signing with Top Rank because they don't have his best interest, which I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But the reason why Floyd Mayweather says that, because see, Floyd Mayweather was in his shoe. Floyd Mayweather was, I believe, 29, 28 years old, and he was like one of the biggest stars in the game. He fought Oscar. Now, mind you, before he fought Oscar, he was still signed with Top Rank. He was trying to get the Oscar de la Hoya fight, but because Oscar de la Hoya, he left Top Rank as well, Oscar wasn't going to do business with Bob Arum. So Floyd realized that he was trying to push for the Oscar de la Hoya fight, and Bob Arum kept beating around the bush. So Floyd was like, you know what? Sign me out of my contract. He gave him $290,000 cash. They're like, I want to leave. Now, surprisingly, Bob Arum let him go. I know that was the biggest mistake he ever made. I mean, just to let him go like that for $290,000, and it ended up costing him $1 billion. Because Floyd Mayweather ended up making $1 billion after that. Floyd Mayweather said, and this is coming from a GOAT, he's telling Terence Crawford, you should have left Top Rank. He was questioning Terence Crawford business decision because Terence, he a good fighter, but he haven't been making the best business decisions. So Bomac, for example, right? He came out and said, Terence Crawford, he's on the ESPN side. Al Haymon have all the PBC fighters. But at the end of the day, we could all fight each other. There is no such thing as the other side of the street.
Well, isn't Al Haymon Errol Spence manager?
Yeah, Al Haymon is Errol Spence manager.
Okay, so who is Crawford's manager?
Bomac is
Bomac. Okay, but isn't he his trainer?
He is his trainer. He is his trainer, but he also his manager.
How's that?
That's the thing about it, right? If you compare Errol Spence manager and Terence manager, is a big difference, man. To have Al Haymon as your manager,
because Al Haymon doesn't train nobody.
He ain't training nobody. He training your mind. He gonna give you the best deal. Bomac is his manager. I don't know how that came to fruition, to be honest with you, but I think Bomac was with him from the jump. I think he raised Terence from an early age. So Terence, out of love, he gave him the management position. But I think he should have just gave him a bigger cut when it comes to training him, because Bomac is now the only trainer. So
with Terence Crawford?
Yeah, I think Terence got like 2 more trainers. But the point is, if you compare Bomac and Al Haymon, their business mind, their business plan, it don't compare. Bomac doesn't know the in and outs like Al Haymon does, because a lot of people was getting on Terence Crawford, why you didn't sign with PBC? Because that way you will be able to fight all of the PBC fighters. Since ESPN and Top Rank literally have no talent on the ESPN roster. So why wouldn't you leave and go to PBC? That was the complaint at the time. Now, Terence, over the long run, he proved his point, which was there's no such thing as the other side of the street. Fights could happen. Promoters could work with each other. just like Wilder and Tyson Fury. They could fight each other. So what's the big deal? If Errol Spence want to fight me, we could make the fight happen. If Keith Thurman want to fight me and the money is there, we could make the fight happen, right? That was the thing he pointed out. So we like, okay, well, he got a point, right? I mean, Wilder just fought Fury at the time. So Terence used that as like, you see, the fights could happen. But what I always pointed out, people fail to acknowledge that there is network involved. There's businesses involved. So the reason why Wilder ended up fighting Tyson Fury, Fury wasn't even signed with ESPN at the time. And even after he signed with ESPN, Wilder had nobody else to fight. Wilder beat the Ortiz, the Boogeyman, the King Kong. He already beat him. He already beat Stavern. He couldn't get an Anthony Joshua fight. He couldn't get any of the names in the UK. They was avoiding him. So what did Wilder do? He was like, you know what? We got to go to the last resort. We got to go to Tyson Fury. You know what I'm saying? And Wilder always been that type of character. He always fought the best. Now, on the other hand, Terence, that's not the case for him. The PBC side is full. For example, Errol Spence. He have Keith Thurman to fight. He have Manny Pacquiao to fight. He have Sean Porter to fight. He have Danny Garcia to fight. He have Ugas to fight. All these guys are name opponents. So Errol Spence could fight every single name I just pointed out, and he won't get criticized. Meanwhile, while Terence Crawford is waiting, if he doesn't fight a name opponent, which at the moment he can't get his hand on one, he gonna get criticized. Now you can't use that, the other side of the street as an excuse. Oh, well, the fights ain't happening, because according to Terence himself, there is no such thing as the other side of the street. Keith Thurman is not interested, even though he overpricing himself, but he is interested. Sean Porter is interested. Everybody is interested. The money ain't there because of the pandemic, but everybody is interested. So Terence, for the moment, he gonna get criticized. Meanwhile, Errol Spence is fighting Danny Garcia and is fighting so many names back to back to back. He's on pay-per-view, back to back 3 times right now. He done fought Sean Porter, he fought Mikey Garcia, and now Danny Garcia, all on pay-per-view. And they all doing tremendous numbers. They all doing more than 300K. So PBC is not in a hurry to make the Terence Crawford fight on a business level. This ain't about Errol Spence. Errol Spence will fight Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford will fight Errol Spence. But at the end of the day, or at least the night, PBC is not their best interest to make the Terence Crawford fight right now. Why? When they have a bigger fight to make, which is Manny Pacquiao. If they could get Manny Pacquiao in the ring with Errol Spence, you think they're going to make the Terence fight right now? No, absolutely not.
They already got big names.
They could make a tournament. They would be fine without Terence. Meanwhile, Terence is all alone in the ESPN side. Now, like I said, I pointed out, yeah, fights could happen. Yeah, promoters could work with each other like they did for Pacquiao and Floyd. But they have to be on that magnitude. And again, that's another key element that I'm about to mention, which I want you to pay attention to. Crawford is arguably one of the big names in the sport of boxing. But he is not top 2 biggest. He is not a pay-per-view star. Where all these other fighters on the PBC side, they're looking at Terence like, oh man, I need to go make some money fighting Terence. He ain't a Floyd Mayweather type of name. Where Floyd, it was actually Floyd Mayweather that created PBC with Al Haymon. Al Haymon had Floyd, and all these fighters want to fight Floyd. So, like, okay, you got to sign under me to get a Floyd Mayweather fight. Right. So he signed all these fighters that was promoted by Golden Boy. He became their manager. And then Golden Boy was too busy, doing his thing, having fun. And then Al Haymon somehow finessed him out of all his fighters. So what I'm saying is, Terence Crawford is not that type of a name. It's a legacy fight. They're going to make good money, but he's not that big of a name. You know why? Keith Thurman is requesting $10 million. He's not getting 10 at this point. 5, 6, but he's not going to get 10. So Errol Spence, on the other hand, he's on pay-per-view 3 times already.
Yeah.
And he's only getting bigger. After he survived in a miracle way, his name just got bigger. So fighters going to look forward to fighting him even more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it'll be more interesting.
Yeah, but Terence don't bring that type of interest to him. So it's like, okay, you could stay on the ESPN side. I mean, nobody gonna come look for you because you a high risk fight.
Right.
He's still a high risk, regardless of what people say, because everybody's a fan. Everybody's a fan of Errol. Everybody's a fan of this guy. A fan of that guy. Regardless of what people say, Terence is a huge risk.
And the money's not worth the risk.
And the money is not worth the risk to them. It's like, man, I could make 2 million fighting a Danny Garcia. I could make 2 million or 3 million fighting a Sean Porter. That's still a tough fight, but my point is, if you could make 2 million, 3 million fighting a Ugas, why would you fight Crawford for that amount of money? So that's why Floyd Mayweather pointed out, like, man, you made the ultimate mistake by re-signing with Top Rank. A Top Rank, they only paying him certain amount of money and they not giving him the big names. My point is, I just don't understand why Terence is doing what he's doing, because it ain't like they showing him some extraordinary love on the ESPN side. Like, if they showing him some type of extraordinary love, I'll understand why Terence is like, you know what, I refuse to leave.
Is it because he wants to do his thing, like to be on his own thing, not be with Errol? Yeah, because of the whole Errol.
You need to be with Errol. You need to be with the PBC side, because that's where all the big names, could get made. Obviously, they can still get made right now, but he's not that big of a name to draw all of them in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, if you don't put yourself in that circle, nobody's going to come look for you. Remember, it ain't like he getting extraordinary love on the ESPN side. I mean, name me anybody on the ESPN side that overpraising Terence right now. Teddy Atlas talked to him. He told him, you have the best instinct of all time. And then when they showed the screen, they had Lomachenko as pound for pound number 1, and they erased his freaking loss while they was doing the interview with Terence Crawford. And they had Terence number 2 and Lomachenko number 1. So they showing you to your face, they being biased toward Lomachenko. They showing this to Crawford. I mean, if you don't believe me, look at today. Yeah. Lomachenko has a big fight coming up with Tio. That fight could have been on pay-per-view. I'm glad it's not on pay-per-view, but it's on ESPN. My point is, Lomachenko got a big fight coming up. Bob Arum said the Crawford fight versus Kell Brook is not even a guarantee. He said ESPN is not interested. Remember, the person that's bringing the biggest amount of viewership to ESPN that's a boxer is Terence Crawford. It's not Lomachenko. But they made sure they put Lomachenko first on free TV before they put Terence Crawford back on free TV. Even though Terence does bigger numbers than Lomachenko. So while they erased his loss, which is Lomachenko, they got him back on TV first. And now they talking about Crawford with the Kell Brook opponent, but they don't have the money for it. They're not trying to back it up because they don't see the interest and they don't have money for it. Like, what do you mean? It's still a big fight, regardless of what people say. Kell Brook has loyal fans that will tune in the UK once the fight get made. Now, in the United States, Terence is obviously going to have to carry the fight by himself. But, I mean, it's just, to me, I think it's a bad look on ESPN behalf. Like I said, I don't criticize fighters for their business decision-making. I criticize fighters for their business decision-making when it comes to fighting, if they willing or they not willing to fight a certain opponent. But when it comes to, whatever he want to do as far as signing with PBC or ESPN, that's on him. He want to be loyal, but how you going to be loyal to an entity that's not being loyal to you? I mean, obviously they got him to the position that he is today. We got to acknowledge that point. Yeah. They signed him when he was a nobody, but that's what they did to every single fighter. Floyd Mayweather, Top Rank, signed him from the jump. Floyd Mayweather, Pretty Boy stage, it was all with Top Rank, but they only could get you so far. If you limit yourself, you can never grow. If you limit yourself to a certain amount of circle, you're not going to grow. Crawford, I believe he exceeded the circle that Top Rank puts him in. And in order for him to be a superstar, he had to go to the PBC. Well, he's missing out because I don't think Bob Arum's going to let him out at this point, especially after Floyd Mayweather and what he said, and after the big mistake he made with Floyd. Even Floyd Mayweather pointed out, like, he don't get it. He said, At first, he said Muhammad Ali the greatest. Then he said I was the best ever after Muhammad Ali. Then he said it was Lomachenko. Like, which one is it, Bob? Floyd Mayweather also added that in a million years, Lomachenko is not a better fighter than Crawford. And Lomachenko know that too, because when Crawford called him out to link up at 137 pounds, when Crawford was still at 140, Crawford was at 140. He called out Lomachenko. He said, if you guys believe Lomachenko is pound for pound number one, well, bring that ass. I'll test that ass too. I fight him at 137. That's 2 pounds south of 135, a division he about to fight in. Guess what Lomachenko said? He said Terence Crawford pound for pound number one. Like, what do you mean, bro? Like, this dude calling you out. He's saying all that. It's like, it gave me a flashback to when Gennady Golovkin claiming he the boogeyman and he will fight anybody from 154 to 168. And then when it was time to pull up, Andre Ward knocked on his door and he said, oh, now he's not interested to do a catchweight at 164. Like, what do you mean? And Andre Ward was pound for pound number two. So when Lomachenko said that, I was like, okay, you know, his team squashed it. They were like, you know what? We will never fight Terence Crawford. As soon as Terence moved up to 147, guess what happened?
He's pound for pound.
Lomachenko started ripping. Yeah, I'm pound for pound number one. That was a quick turnaround now. Just a week ago, you were saying Terence is pound for pound number one. As soon as he moved up to 147, now you claiming you pound for pound number one. When he challenged you for that pound for pound status, you know what kind of fight that would have been? A big fight. But Lomachenko obviously already turned down a Manny Pacquiao fight at 135. He turned down a Devin Haney fight, a green fighter, according to his own words. He already turned down a Salido rematch, a guy that beat him. So it's like, it don't surprise me. But at the same time, I'm just saying, when you see ESPN pushing Lomachenko the way they do, that's why Floyd Mayweather, he said that, super biased, because they push Lomachenko, erasing his losses. Meanwhile, they won't even give Terence Crawford a fight. They won't even give him a fight. They talking about a Kell Brook asking too much. Man, $2 million, not too much, man. Or whatever it is. It's not too much because Crawford does the biggest numbers on ESPN. But that's his mistake that he got to deal with because, like I told you, Bomac came out and said, PBC fighters aren't fighting each other. Look at Errol Spence. He ain't fought nobody on the PBC side. Okay, let's look at PBC right now. Errol Spence fought Mikey Garcia after fighting Kell Brook. He fought Mikey. He fought Sean Porter. He fighting Danny. And then he could fight Keith because Keith now he's calling him out. Yeah. He could fight Manny Pacquiao if Pacquiao willing to face him. What do you mean? Danny Garcia, the guy that they call him the cherry picker at welterweight, he fought Keith Thurman. He fought Sean Porter. Now he fighting Errol Spence. Keith Thurman fought Sean Porter. He fought Danny Garcia. He fought Pacquiao. Pacquiao fought Keith Thurman. He fought Broner. You think Pacquiao, he will have ever fought a guy like Keith Thurman if he would have still signed with Top Rank? Man, after Pacquiao lost to Floyd Mayweather, they had him fight Bradley for the third time. Nobody asked for that. Nobody asked for a Bradley fight at that point. Like, the Bradley fight was long overdue. The Marquez fight, they have Pacquiao fighting Marquez 4 times till he got knocked out. But they never had him face a young gun. When this is what crazy to me, right? Pacquiao was with Top Rank. Terence was calling out Pacquiao heavy. Now, Bob Arum came out and said, I actually interviewed Crawford homeboy, Team Crawford, and he told me, I asked him that. I wanted to get his perspective on this situation. I really was curious. I was like, man, so I asked him when Pacquiao was still with Top Rank and Crawford was calling him out, why they didn't make that fight then? Why are they talking about this fight now? You know, Bob Arum was coming out claiming that the fight is nearly done between Pacquiao and Crawford. And I told everybody that was a bunch of bullcrap because if Pacquiao would have fought Crawford, he would have fought him then when he was still with Bob Arum. When Bob Arum had both fighters signed under his contracts, he didn't make the fight happen. According to Bob Arum, he said that at the time, he said Pacquiao was too old. He was scared for Pacquiao life.
Who said that? Bob Arum.
It's like, what do you mean? Your job is to promote Crawford. At the end of the day, Crawford is his fighter, and he's not showing that he have Crawford's best interest because he should have did whatever it takes to make that fight happen for Crawford at that time. Now he got to pray on the fact that he's going to get the Errol Spence fight in time because, like I said, nobody going to criticize Errol Spence if he fight Danny then fights Keith Thurman, then fights Pacquiao.
Because he's busy. He got too many.
He got names,
enough.
and also he's coming off a car accident. So, like Crawford told him, whenever you're ready, come holler at me. If Errol Spence fight Keith Thurman, if Errol Spence fight Pacquiao, if Errol Spence fight all these guys on the PBC roster, by the time he fight Terence, the cut will no longer be 60-40. The purses. Errol Spence will be the A side so much that Terence maybe have to come see him on the PBC side. Errol could probably be like, man, I'm Floyd Mayweather right now. I went from the truth to the money. You got to come see me. I'm the cash cow.
What determines the A side if they haven't fought each other?
I mean, who's the bigger name? There's a lot that come into play who have, it ain't more belt, it's pretty much who have a bigger name. Errol Spence is already the bigger name. If Errol Spence could become nearly a Money Mayweather, then Crawford got to come see him. And that's what I mean. Crawford made the ultimate mistake because while Errol Spence is racking up big names, that's building his name, is building his brand. He's getting more popular. He becoming the cash cow. Terence is not growing in popularity. He's a popular fighter, don't get me wrong.
And they're not even putting him #1 in his own.
Yeah, in his own network, they're not showing him love. In his own network, they doing him dirty. They putting Lomachenko above him, undefeated, during his interview. It's like they basically getting clout off Crawford name, promoting Lomachenko as undefeated to the casual fans. On the other hand, Crawford, they're not giving him name opponents, so his stock is not rising. His name is not building. Meanwhile, Errol Spence, as we waiting,
is racking up
names, is racking up legacy, is racking up. And then when it comes to negotiation, guess who's the A side? Errol. It's not even the A side no more. Crawford has ended up on the Z side. Errol might tell him, hey, listen, you ain't even that big of enough name for me to come see you on ESPN or do a joint promotion. You come see me on PBC or we don't have a fight. If you beat me, then we do a joint promotion. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen because I believe Crawford is still a big name where they're going to have to do a joint promotion. But who knows? If Errol Spence beat Manny Pacquiao, that could end up happening.
I'm pretty. Hold it, you're not that pretty. I'm a bad man. Wait. I still got the world. I still got the world. I still got the world. I bear witness there's only one God, Allah, and Muhammad is his final messenger. That's what I said, Larry, on the Bungle fight. Thanking you.
They call me the problem, but you could call me the can man, because anybody can get it. Africans, Americans, Dominicans, Mexicans, anybody can get it.